Hi folks, it's John Eisman from Last Chance Auto Restore, and today I'd like to share with you one of our customers' vehicles that is getting a ground-up restoration, a pan-off restoration as they refer to it. This is for Gertrude, which is a 68 Volkswagen Beetle Convertible, and our client was able to find this chassis and motor and transmission from someone who had already rebuilt this. So what we did is we just received it the other day, and we wanted to do a visual inspection and also check the motor. So there's quite a few things that we did just to verify that in fact it was rebuilt and done properly. So the first thing that we did is obviously we checked the oil, made sure that the oil level was okay. And then after that, you can notice that it's very, very clean. They did a really nice job doing it. They've upgraded with the Bosch coil, which is the best coil you can buy. So it looks like there's quality there. New plugs and current wires and distributor cap. So the first thing that we did is we wanted to check the points, the gap on the points. So we used our feeler gauge and the points were out of adjustment a little tiny bit, so we readjusted the points. The next thing we did after the points is we wanted to make sure that the distributor was put in correctly and it was at top dead center, which means the rotor is facing number one cylinder. And we take the valve cover off of this side and we go to number one cylinder. We just turn the pulley back and forth just to verify that number one valves don't rotate back and forth. So we verified that it was done correctly, because most times we see the distributors put in backwards and top dead center, which should be number one, ends up being cylinder number 4. So then you need to make sure that you wire it correctly. But in this case, the distributor is put in the exact location it needs to be in. And what we wanted to do then at the next step was to adjust the valves. And they were out quite a bit. So it looks like they probably had the heads redone, but either forgot to, probably forgot to adjust them. So what we did is we take the valve covers off and we adjust the valves and we rotate one turn to do each cylinder. So we verified that it's done and we used our feeler gauge. So we've adjusted those. We put new German quality cork valve cover gaskets back on with a sealant so that that part was done correctly. So the next step we wanted to do, once we had that, is we wanted to check for oil pressure or build up oil pressure. So what we did is we just unplugged the main coil wire. We took a battery, and I have a little electrical switch I can show you later to turn the motor over. So what we did, because we didn't want it to spark right away, because we wanted to build up the oil pressure, the motor had been sitting for a while. So what we've done is we unplug the one main spark wire, and then we roll the vehicle over. And we do that 3 times, 5 to 6 seconds per time. And what that does is that builds up the oil pressure, because it's really important that everything gets coated with oil. Once we knew that we had built up the oil pressure, we hooked up the coil wire. And once the coil wire was done, then we proceeded to start the car. And it wouldn't run because the fuel pump wasn't pumping. So what we did is we supplied a line directly to the gas can, which you can see here. We ran a line and we had looks like it's the old stock original fuel pump. I don't know if you can see it there. Looks like someone attempted to rebuild it. And obviously it wasn't functioning. The other thing that we noticed is whenever you replace a fuel pump, you always put heavy grease in here to help lubricate it against the pin. There was no grease in there at all. It was very, very dry. And the spring appears to be very weak. And when you do it by hand, there's absolutely no suction or force whatsoever. So what we did is we bought a good quality replacement fuel pump, and we replaced the fuel pump. And once we did that, we bled the fuel system and we tried it again, and it fired right up and ran perfectly fine. So the other thing that we wanted to do, once we had it running, we wanted to make sure that it was in fact rebuilt. Because a lot of people will say it's rebuilt or it's restored, but then you find the cylinders are weak. So the main thing that we wanted to do next was a compression test. So we took our compression gauge and we removed each spark plug, and we did 1 through 4 obviously. We performed a compression test on all 4 cylinders. The motor turns out to be very strong, so it was properly rebuilt. There's no oil leaks that we can see other than just the drain plug, which what we're going to do is we're going to order the German quality gasket set, and that will solve that concern. So basically what we have here, it's a 1968 Volkswagen Beetle. It's a single port 1600 engine that's been properly rebuilt and detailed. We've taken the air cleaner off. So what we're going to do now is our client would like to hear the engine running. So what we're going to do is basically, I have everything all set up here. I've plugged in the electrical wiring. I have a handy little electric switch. We've got fuel going to the fuel line. We just tested it and there is lots of oil pressure. So we're okay with the oil. The oil level is perfect. So now we're just going to attempt to start the car. So here we go. So there it is. Notice we added a fuel filter because we wanted to make sure that we have clean fuel, and obviously we can tell that the flow of the fuel going through the carburetor from the fuel pump is good. So we haven't adjusted anything yet. You'll notice that the choke is not plugged in, the electric choke. So the idle is probably a little bit higher than you would normally have it. The one thing we noticed, the pulley, you can see there's a little bit of a rotation there. Normally when people remove that pulley, if they pry on the back with a screwdriver and they don't do it evenly, you get that little bit of a wow in it. You'll notice the top pulley is fine, it's been shimmed and adjusted properly, and we're going to keep our eye on that bottom pulley. I don't like it the way it's got a little bit of a vibration there, but we'll keep our eye on that. So what we're going to do is then it's going to be quiet. We'll rev it up a few times so our client can hear the motor. It sounds quite nice.